Good morning.
I meant to change that little. There's that echo again, darn it. I can hear it.
I missed it. I didn't hear it this time.
Okay, maybe hopefully it's just me. But I meant to change the little graphic for our intro to match the one that I put out for the announcement.
Oh, okay.
And then I knew I was forgetting something.
Yeah.
So it's been a couple weeks.
It has. So people should have some good questions for us.
They do. And we've got a lot of our regular friends in. We've got Brooke, Melanie, we have Amy, Renee. Let's see, and there was a very nice lady who was behind me. I think it was Walgreens. And she's like, I love your videos. And I was so off in my own world. And I'm like, what, me? So hello. So Renee's got a quick question. It says,
No, Renee, it's strictly new moon, not full moon. And you're right, today is the full moon. And for us, it peaks here in about 50 minutes. So you're out west, so you got a little more time. But no, there's nothing you can do on a full moon. Except howl at it, maybe? I don't know.
Comment on, there was a lot of sirens and ambulances and everything running, down by the store last night. I'm like, well, half that says full moon in the medical community is bumpkiss. The other half, the nursing staff will always say, no, it's a thing.
Yeah, but all those babies are born on a full moon.
So I'm like, well, judging by the amount of sirens running by, I'm going to lean on that side.
Okay.
Hello, Heidi and Sue. And no Mercury retrograde today.
We are done with the Mercury retrograde. Yesterday was done. Thank God.
So thank you, my Oogie Boogie / Ghostbuster shirts.
Okay.
This one glows in the dark, and I didn't realize it when I bought it until I was in the evening. Like, oh crap, that's cool.
Yeah, that's good.
Oh, we missed you guys too. It felt weird. Like it threw me off all week not to do the video with our lives. All right. So for anybody new joining us, this is where you get to ask questions, and Marianne's going to answer you live about earthbound spirits, spirit guides, negative energy, portals. What else, Marianne? Fairies to a degree.
Right. I mean, anything metaphysical that you can think of. If I don't know the answer, maybe I can figure it out or find out for you. But, and you have to remember something too. When I answer some of these questions, it's only from experience. It's stuff that I've dealt with. That's why I have an answer. And I've said it once and twice and 3 times. What works for me doesn't work for everybody. I'm sure there's other people that have so many abilities, but it works different for everybody. So, and I just like to stay in my little area of what I do.
Right. Oh, well, hello, Linda from Colorado, Queens and Ghoul. If you let them be Oogie Boogie, I want pictures. I so want pictures. That would be adorable.
See, there is that who that is on your shirt? Oh, okay. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. He the villain from Nightmare Before Christmas.
Never thought so.
Oh, we can't be friends anymore.
I don't watch any of that stuff. I'm on the phone with people.
I don't have time to watch movies.
Right. Hey, I'm curious to know if any of our people today saw the YouTube from last Wednesday and what you thought of those letters.
That was,
Yeah,
let us know.
Yeah, let us know.
In the meantime, Lewis, you got to tell us about it. How?
Oh my gosh, what happened?
It's been a couple of weeks. What trouble did you get into when nobody was keeping an eye on you? We need to send some money to go keep Lewis out of trouble.
Right.
Oh, whoops. I thought I pushed the button. Angela said the questions had her laughing. So those videos, those letters.
Oh, I know. And it was so strange because I couldn't figure out, every time I got one of those, I'm thinking, are these people telling me the truth? That they're really going through those? Or are they pulling my leg? It's like they got great imaginations if they were not I don't know.
Yeah.
They were out there. And I've got another stack, and I thought about doing them today. And I'm thinking, no. 2 weeks of the, no. We'll just do regular boring letters today. So,
spread the craziness, maybe one of those a month.
right.
Here's an interesting question. A Bad Boy says, in some Oriental occult books, I have read that you can enslave earthbound spirits. Have you ever met such a case?
The only thing that I can think about is that because covens and people that practice satanic rituals use people not from the light to do their bidding, maybe that's the definition that they give to that. I don't know. Well, I don't know how you could capture and keep a ghost unless it was nothing from the light ever to begin with. And that's a possibility.
Melanie says, fairies have been taking my things recently. Is there any way to offer them something to bring my things back or reason with them?
There is no reasoning with them. You may make up a little bowl, a little saucer of some milk and honey and put it out for them as an offering. They really like that. And you'd be surprised. You will see it go down a little bit. But I am making it today and tomorrow. I'm going to make the potion for the little folk. It'll be available by this weekend. So, maybe you just want to clear your house of them totally instead of trying to bargain with them, because they're tricksters. I wouldn't trust anything.
Some more comments on your WTF letters. They were cray-cray, so pretty crazy. Pretty amazing. Probably pretty out there, too.
Yeah, totally nuts. Totally nuts.
See.
And there's 2 that are coming up that are even worse than the other ones I read last week.
And Adam said, I enjoyed the WTF episode last week. I loved how some of those people thought you would be perfectly fine with their ideas.
Everybody has a new job for me. Let me tell you, everybody can think of something new for me to do with them. So.
Tracy says, I have a weird vibe in my living room and I cannot seem to make it feel homey. It just always seems like the lighting is gloomy and dreary. Any tips on how I can get a better vibe? I've tried saging, but it doesn't help.
Tracy, I don't know how long you've lived there, but why don't you go to the library and get When Ghosts Speak? And this is the book, and the last chapter on here is how to remove negative energy. I can't tell from this format if that's what the problem is. But do the little ceremony in the back of that book on the house. Maybe that house itself has negative energy on it. And you didn't realize it maybe when you first moved in or first bought the house. But keep this in mind, negative energy attracts negative energy. So if there was something negative over the house, depending on how long you've lived there, it could have gotten thicker and heavier, and that's why the house feels like that. So, but I would try that because smudging does not remove curses. It will stop it from getting thicker while you're doing it, but it does not remove it.
Mm. And sometimes playing like bells, chimes, like the vibration will help bring up stuff. Depending on the windows in your living room, keeping that sunlight coming in for a while doing that. And sometimes furniture arrangement and how condensed, and I don't want to call your living room cluttered, but if the energy can't move through there, it'll get stagnant and kind of feel heavy. So sometimes just shifting things around can really stir up the energy in there. But the vibration of like bells, singing bowls, things like that can help. Let's see. Oh, poor Lewis. Says it's just university stress. I'm going through the process of getting a new job. I have just started a new creative unit for class, and the beginning of all of it was just the worst. What kind of job, Lewis?
You know what? That's part of life. Goes forward. You gotta bite the bullet to get what you want. So you've gone this far. Don't quit now. Just keep on plugging along.
I think Sink, in regards to the lady with issues with fairies, she said leaving honey out helped at her house. So that seemed to help with some of the fairy problems.
Yeah, it helps when you're trying to sell a house too. Because a lot of times you don't want those little buggers in the house while it's being shown or people are coming to look at it. So if you do the same thing, make that little bowl of milk honey, maybe a little dash of cinnamon even, stick it outside the front door, the patio door. And a lot of times it makes the house feel better to, prospective buyers.
Jules says, have you seen the new show Ghosts, about a couple that inherited an old estate filled with Earthbounds? It's hysterical.
No, I'm sorry, I have not. I seriously tried to avoid those shows. Because I realize it's entertainment. But some people people think that I actually owned an antique store. People can't believe that Ted wasn't a paramedic or a fireman. People believe what they see on TV. And no, that's not true. So you just don't know how much. It's like, that's why everybody thinks that the bedroom is cold, there's a ghost in it. Or if they've got flies in their attic, they've got a ghost in their house because they saw it on a movie or a TV show.
Right. So Pat says, Marianne, do earthbound spirits interact with you differently if they're stuck in a house and have been exposed to a recent smudging? Is it harder for them to communicate with you due to the smudging?
No, it doesn't seem to be. They just, instead of screaming or yelling at me, they just talk normally instead. Or, but no, that doesn't bother me at all. Some people say, well, you're not coming for 2 weeks, so I won't smudge. No, smudge. It doesn't make any difference. Just go ahead and smudge anyway. So, no, it doesn't seem to make a difference for me.
Let's see. Can a portal be opened up in a home that has the quinceads up?
Absolutely. Because that's blown open by negative energy from live people. A ghost can't blow open a portal, an earthbound and or otherwise. So no, and that's why I say, once the house is clear and any portals are closed and there's no more earthbound spirits in the house and the seeds are up, if you're going to start fighting with somebody or get into it with somebody, take it outside so that you don't blow open a portal, and you'll keep your voice down, or if not, the neighbors will call the cops.
So Robin says, are gnomes the same as fairies?
I lump them all into the same group. Trolls, gnomes, leprechauns, anything in my world that jumps out of another dimension belongs in that world, yeah.
Let's see. Laura says, I have a spoon thief. No, not forks or knives, just the spoons. And I live alone with 3 cats, so they're not taking them.
Somebody's playing a nice joke on you, Laura, because that's exactly just enough to make you a little crazy. And you keep going through the garbage. Did I accidentally throw it out? And that's why some people always keep going out and buying more spoons. For some reason, it is the spoons, not knives or forks for some reason. Seems to be pretty typical. As a matter of fact, I think it was Oneida. I believe it was Oneida. No, Rogers. Oh, one of them. When you bought a new set of silverware, there is a service for 8. There were automatically 16 teaspoons. They gave you 8 extra automatically.
That's insane. I used to blame the missing silverware and bowls. I would lose bowls constantly in my old house, and I would always blame the kids. Like, well, if you threw them away, I would see them because it was the set that would have like the real big, what do you call it? Not ceramic, but stoneware. So
those are heavy too. Yeah.
I'm like, well, you could see that in the trash.
Yeah.
So I ended up with like these mismatched kitchen sets because I would never have any freaking bowls. And I'm like,
and see, and the ghosts won't mess with those because they're not pretty.
So good floor. It really only quit when they were big enough and old enough that, you know, they were eating like half a box of cereal in one sitting and they were using the food storage containers. So, you know, but then that whole like, where's the lids to these bowls? Like they're only ever using the bowl, so therefore the lid should be still sitting in the cabinet untouched. Where are the lids? Like, boys.
I don't know. My girls never ate that much cereal at one sitting, so I don't know.
Yeah, I used to tell Rune, I'm like, you gotta have worms. I'm like, there's no way you're still this thin and you eat like you do, and you're always still like, you gotta have worms. And he's like, Mom, like, no other reasoning. Let's see. So we have a lot of hellos from Mansfield, and there was Mentor. Let's see. So a lot of people are watching the Ghost Show, and they say it's really funny. Let's see. Hoping you will still continue to do Facebook live streams in addition to the podcasts. Also, thank you so much for making the We Folk solution available for sale.
You're very welcome. Especially this time of year. I mean, it happens all year with them, and it's easier, of course, to find the ingredients that you need in the summer when the plants are growing. And so that's why I just thought, if I can do this, and I was lucky enough to find a whole garage full of chicks and hens.
So Sink says, my son wants to know, how bad are the courtrooms? Portals, earthbound spirits. I'm sure they got to be packed because that's just a lot of stuff in there.
Full, exactly. Any of the, and I've said it before, I was invited to clear Cleveland City Hall. I mean, just the fighting between the Congress people or the people from different districts, amazing. But yeah, courts are full. It's spirits all over the place. I was called in for jury duty. Oh, what a joke that was. And there was a ghost in the courtroom when they were deciding if I could sit on the jury or not, that told me all kinds of things. And so the prosecutor kept saying, well, you're a psychic. You can't know that. How do you know this? To make a very long story short, the defending lawyer said, why are you questioning her? She's not on trial here. And I said to the judge, I says, this is ridiculous. Why am I being questioned like this? And so the judge said, you're right. Mrs. Winkowski, you're excused. This is ridiculous. And I stood up and I said to the man that was asking me so many questions, I said, by the way, those golf clubs that you bought at the garage sale have a man attached to them, just so you know. And you can't believe how quiet that room got. It got so quiet. And the judge didn't say anything to me, but the judge looked at the prosecutor and he said to him, you actually bought used golf clubs.
That was the
Not
picture.
that there was a ghost attached, but then he bought used golf clubs. After that, it was lunch, and that judge came up to me. He says, "You're never going to get seated on a jury." I said, "Why not?" I says, "And that's fine with me. Can I go home?" And he says, "No." He says, "But you can't be seated on a jury." He says, "Because if you can really do what you say you do, you could end up with all kinds of information that you probably shouldn't have." I said, "Okay." He said, "And if you can't do what you say you do, you're a time bomb waiting to go off. Nobody's going to put you on a jury."
I wonder if they've like kind of behind the scenes just pulled your name out of that random drawing. Like, nope.
And I've never been called back since. No, that's not, well, for Cleveland, I haven't been called back. I've been called back for city, but not Cleveland. But now that I'm old, they don't bother to call me anymore. So that's good.
Hey, there's perks to things, right?
That's right. That's exactly right.
To answer the first part of Melody's question, we are going to keep doing the YouTube lives on Wednesday, in addition to the podcast, which the second episode went live today at like 3 a.m. So it is out there: Amazon, Stitcher, Spotify, Google. I am still fighting with Apple. They try to blame it on the artwork not being the right size square, even though it said 1400 or 3000 pixels. I made it both, and both times it still failed. So I'm fighting with them as to why it will not take our stream for Apple Podcasts. Hopefully that'll be rectified soon, but it is out there. I think Amazon's Audible, it's free to listen there. Obviously, Stitcher, Spotify, and Google Podcasts. So it's out there if you want to listen. They are, different than what we talk about on the Wednesdays, so it's not a repeat. So feel free to go listen.
And once we get really comfortable doing that, because it's still, are we doing this right? We're going to try to have guests on, and we want, you guys to get in touch. And Melissa, you've already gotten a couple responses from people. Let us know what you want.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, the email for the podcast is whenghostspeakpod@gmail.com. So there is a double S in the middle of that. Ghosts Speak, pod@gmail.com. So send questions if you want to share experiences. Maybe we'll do a couple episodes with your guys' real life, experiences. You can tell us like, hey, don't share my name, but this was really funny. So we can do things like that too. So, but yeah, second episode went live today. We're doing them the first and third Wednesdays of the month for now, just to make sure we have enough to talk about in the topic and research on top of doing this and our daily jobs.
Our daily stuff that we do anyway, right?
So join us there. Let's see me go catch back up. Lewis, I'm sorry, hun, if I missed your follow-up to what your job is. There's so much coming through. I feel like I left you hanging. Charlie's mom from Chicago. Hello. So you're doing regular old boring letters today, Marianne, you say?
Yeah, just regular letters today. Quite a few with the animals, but yeah, just regular letters today. And we'll do the crazy ones probably next Wednesday again.
So Patrick says, Marianne, does your daughter see spirits that crossed over or just the Earthbounds as well?
No, Tara only sees the Earthbound ones also. She's pretty much like I said, she doesn't do it exactly like me, but those are the only ones that she can see also.
J Mom says, you mentioned a couple of weeks ago that Earthbounds can get in through the holes in the house, such as water pipes. So what exactly or where exactly do you put the quinseed?
The only not city water, a seed will go on well water, and pipe comes through the house. You don't want to put the seed on the outside of the house. You want to go down your basement or wherever that pipe comes in at and use duct tape, because that's a sweaty pipe, and just tape it to that pipe. It's like a fireplace. Maybe once every 10 years, I get somebody that comes in through a fireplace or through water coming into the house. So that's why we just do that, just to cover all the bases. And everybody asks, well, what about the sub pump? That pushes it out. That doesn't bring it in. You're talking about bringing it in. So that's why, but again, not city water, only if you're on a well.
And let's see. Have you ever seen or felt the living come through a portal?
No, I have not. I mean, I just did a house yesterday. I was so shocked because it hasn't happened very often, but the person that was in that house was out of the portal, and it was a woman. And it's very, very odd to see a woman come out of a portal, but she was put to death. She killed her two kids and her husband. And so she was one of the people in the portal. And she was not very nice to their 6-year-old little girl. So, no. But never saw a live person come out of a portal.
Let's see. So, kind of harkening back to the topic about fairies and milk and honey outside, the question was, won't the neighborhood cats drink the milk and honey? So would that be a problem?
No, I don't think that. I mean, it's not like you're going to have it out there. Open houses are what, 2 to 4 or something like that. So you put it out there 10 minutes before 2, and as soon as then leave it out there and let the cats have it after. But to start with, I think it would take, unless your neighborhood is running amok with outdoor cats, I think it would probably be okay. You could even put like a net over the top of it, because they could get through that, but not a lid or something that would seal, because they have to get to it.
Right. Vicky says, if sea salt works to protect hotel rooms, would it work on house entrances if you don't have quince seeds?
It doesn't hurt, but it only keeps them out maybe 75% of the time. And they'll think about it, and it just doesn't seem, they'll take maybe they have to take a punch in the gut or something if they jump over the top of it or something, where they can't do that with a quince seed. So, but you can try that. I know there's some people, and maybe Melissa, I don't. I know there's some people and the people tell me, well, I've got sea salt in all the corners of the house. I don't know what that means. I don't know why people do that. Maybe why people put sea salt in the corners of their house.
I think they're trying to do a grid. When you do grids with stones, the stones talk to one another, that energetic field that they share. Me personally, I haven't seen salt creating the protective grid so much. And in certain hoodoo traditions, for a cleansing, you put salts in the 4 corners of all your rooms, and you sprinkle the salt from the corner to the center, and then you sweep in the same direction with the intention that you're gathering up everything negative, everything that you want to, take out of that room. And then you sweep it up and you take it outside of the house. And then depending on the tradition and what you're doing, do you dispose of it up the left, to the right, and definitely off the property. So you don't just go throw it in your garbage can outside. Like, you need to go drive to a gas station and throw it away.
Right.
So it kind of sounds like the beginning of a cleansing that way, but not the complete follow through.
Okay.
But if you're carpeting, you would vacuum rather than carpet sweep, obviously.
Okay. Well, it's funny because when I close a portal, I put whatever solution I'm using at 12, 3, 6, and 9.
Mm-hmm.
And a dot in the middle, and that's what I do. I bring them in from the 4 places to the middle, closing it that way. So that's very similar to that. Yeah, okay. Now, I know people use it all the time, but the only thing that I really suggest you carry it with you, carry a baggie of it in your car with you, especially if you're somebody that stops at garage sales or antique stores, anything, sprinkle a little bit of that salt on it before you put it in your vehicle. And hopefully, if something's attached to something that you picked up, it won't come home with you.
So you got a couple of kids arguing in the house all the time. Can they open up a portal?
Not unless they're over 18 and they got a knife on one another. Nope. It's very, very unusual for children. Emotionally, they don't have enough anger. And don't get me wrong, kids can be very angry about stuff, but it would take so much to blow open a portal.
So I saw the question, and I'm not seeing it now, but the question had to do with how spoons and bowls being round. Is it the round shape maybe that is the attraction for the fairies to steal just those particular?
That sounds as good a reason as any to me. I don't have any idea. I don't really know.
I could see that, especially if maybe fairy, spoons would be nice sized mirrors, maybe depending on the size of the fairy.
Yeah,
But
no,
like tall.
Yeah, but Earthbound ghosts have a habit of doing that too, taking stuff and hiding it or throwing it out. Mm-hmm. So you don't want you've got choices. It could be one of anything.
Oh, Brooke says she's got a tall, skinny, fast metabolism 20-something as well. Yes. It was always so hard finding him pants because he's so skinny.
That's the way Ted was when I married him. He stood up straight and his stomach sunk in. I mean, and then all of a sudden, you get to a certain age and that doesn't work anymore.
Yeah, well, he was always worried. It's one thing where you hear about girls in school are always, they're not skinny enough, they're not pretty enough. Boys have similar. They're not big enough, they're not muscular enough, they're not tall enough. We just don't hear about it as much. So he was really worried about not being, big enough because he was so skinny. And he'll still wear, like in the middle of summer, like hooded sweatshirts and stuff to hide how skinny he is, which makes me sad. And I'm like, you're gonna have a heat stroke, take that off. He's like, I'm fine. But this kid, I mean, he's so well, like when he doesn't have a shirt on, and I'm like, you just wait. These kids are gonna wish. I'm like, you look like you're doing pull-ups and sit-ups, and you're cut and ripped because you're so skinny. And I'm like, these kids are gonna wish they were you. Like, don't pay this any mind.
Yeah, don't.
But yeah, he eats nonstop, eats a whole pizza by himself, and then 20 minutes later, he's like, "What's for dinner?" And I'm like, seriously? Like, I'm still full from breakfast. Like, seriously? Like, you have worms. That's the only thing. You have worms. Michelle says, can ghosts hear your thoughts? I don't think so, but I hear many seem to think they can.
No, they cannot. And the only way they can actually hear anything you say or anybody that you're talking to is if they are in the same room with you. Or, sometimes if you're in the kitchen, you could hear somebody say talk in the living room, but they would have to be within earshot of hearing, but no. And that's why I'm so lucky, because I don't have to speak out loud. Everything is done through thoughts. Because oh my gosh, I learn all kinds of things I really don't need to know. I mean, a lot of times the ghost is talking and I'm going, la, 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 because I don't need to know all that stuff. I mean, nothing like looking at the homeowner and getting embarrassed because what the ghost just told me about him. So, yeah, don't need that.
The spray that you're making for the fairies, is there gonna, what's the shelf life on the spray?
Oh, it's boiled, and as long as it stays sealed in the bottle, and you only have to do that, once a month. So it would last. I guess you wouldn't have to, but I think I would tell people once you've opened it, probably just keep it back in the refrigerator someplace. And the bottles aren't that big, but I have to put on there somehow that you can't drink this. It's not for human consumption. So
Christina says, my uncle died from COVID in December 2020, and we finally were able to take his ashes 2 days ago to a cemetery and have him interred. Would he have passed over as soon as he died, or would he have waited until the burial? There was no formal funeral, just my mom and I to get his ashes blessed before burial.
If this was before COVID, if this is what your dad wanted, no funeral, then he would have crossed over as soon as he died. If he was somebody that wanted a funeral, then he would have waited until you actually had one. 2020 December, so it's going to be a year. It's over 6 months. You might have the answer to that already. If you or your mom have had a nice dream of him, that means he definitely crossed over.
So Melanie says, what happens if you don't get rid of earthbound spirits? He told my mom she had one and she hasn't done anything for it. I am not really happy about going over there at all.
You know what? People do things when they're ready. And it's really hard. Some people just can't get their head around this. It just doesn't exist. And, you know, if it's not affecting her health a lot, I'm sure it's affecting her health some, but if it's not affecting her health a lot, you're not going to change your mind. So just, when you go to her house, wear your charm, wear your quince so that who's ever at your mom's doesn't decide to come home with you.
So somebody asked, and I saw it, now I can't find it again, but it was about Incubus and Succubus spirits. Are they earthbounds? Do they come out of portals? I can't find it that showed up there, but what do you know of those?
Right. They are earthbound for sure. I have seen rapists and murderers and child pedophiles come out of a portal, but they do not interact like a succubus and an incubus does just with a regular earthbound spirit. And yeah, they absolutely do exist.
Let's see. So if somebody bought a dream bag from you, like the last time you were in my store and they're still not remembering dreams, what could be still like possibly hindering that?
Okay, it could be a couple of things. If you are on a crazy work schedule and you don't sleep the same times, or some people 1 month they do second shift, 1 month third shift, one the next month days. If your body isn't in rhythm of sleeping at the same time, plus there are some meds that retard dreams. You're dreaming, but you absolutely cannot remember them. And there are definitely, if you're taking something for a health problem, that could be retarding your dreams also.
Now you said, you've never seen a dinosaur.
No, I have not.
What about a Bigfoot ghost? Have you ever come across the spirit of a Sasquatch? There have been many sightings in Ohio. They seem human-like, so they must have a soul unless they are interdimensional.
I'm going to go with you on that one, Adam. I'm going to say they probably do have a spirit, but I have never seen one. And I'm on the fence if they exist or not, but you know what? There's too many of the same stories. So I tend to think that they probably really do exist.
So Amy says, my dad passed in December last year from Alzheimer's. Could he have attached himself to a smoke alarm?
Anybody that has Alzheimer's, any dementia, anything like that, they always get crossed over. If they don't recognize somebody that's in the light, their guardian angel will take them.
Oh, I hope we didn't lose her. Hopefully Marianne is able to come back, and hopefully I'm not the one that's frozen. All right, guys, I'm not sure which one of us is frozen. I'm not seeing any more comments, so I'm wondering if it's me. Okay. It's Marianne. All right, guys. Hopefully she'll come back in. I don't know how close we are. So we got 20 more minutes. If you have any questions about that I might be able to answer, feel free. We'll see if Marianne comes back. Um, but she will have her video later today at 5:30. Um, let's see. I saw a question about mirrors and portals. Mirrors themselves, even if they're facing one another, don't always necessarily create a portal. There's a lot of that information online. That's not the case. It takes a lot of energy work to make that happen, and most people can't and don't know how to do it. So don't let that automatically um, scare you out. It's the Melissa show now. I know, and I hate being the center of attention, which is why I always like having Mary Ann. Uh, my amazing shirt. Yes, I have enough Nightmare Before Christmas shirts probably to wear a different one for about 3 weeks. So I'm 40 going on like 12. Let's see here. Maybe go back and see if we could catch some of these questions. Hopefully Marianne can come back. But in the meantime, let's see. Marianne will be at Goddess Elite in person. That is coming up in here soon. Let me pull up our list of events. I apologize. My allergies are really kicking my butt today. It seems like no amount of cough drops is helping. But she will be in person. It's actually coming up on the 18th. So from 4:30 to 5:30, you will be able to come in, pick up some Quincy's, get your book signed, dream bags. Her speaking event afterwards, starting at 6, is closed out. Let's see. There are quite a few books about the wee folk. The publisher Llewellyn has quite a few really good ones. Uh, not gonna dance. But there's some really good books out from Llewellyn and Red Whale Weiser. So if you look up those publishers and just kind of search in that topic, you'll find some really good ones. We do have some Zooms coming up, which we're going to drop them down to one a month for the holiday season, just because everybody's going to be so busy. So what led me into the shamanism? And the shamanism that I am trained in is actually wouldn't be called shamanism. It's a Pakakuna Alta Masayok and Papa Masayok, trained at both levels for that. It's from the Andes tradition down in South America. And honestly, I wasn't even looking to get into it. That's one of the benefits of being the store owner. When there's a class, I sit in for free. So I was just kind of sitting there just to see what it was like. And by the end of the first weekend, I was all in. That's been probably 5-6 years ago now. And it's something that I can actually live on a daily basis. It's been something very helpful and useful for so much of the healing work, and to keep myself aware of, me and my energy, and helping people become that. So, yeah, and we actually offer this training like every other year, because it is like an 8-month apprenticeship training. And then every other year in between is the master program, where you go into even deeper, a little more ceremonial versus just the energy work. So yeah, it's if you're ever interested, we've actually had people kind of do this distance wise, and then the training that is, and then we will have a couple times like where everybody can come together. We plan it out ahead of time, so initiations and whatnot that happen in person can be done. So but it's a very intensive. You are going to learn a lot about yourself, things that you probably didn't want to know, but we'll find out the reasons of the underlying why you act the way you do, how you can fix certain triggers that you may have, and be able to walk in a more light and not, white light. Things are great, but in a lighter, where you feel lighter, you feel better, you're able to act with intention instead of reacting. So it's a great program. Marianne and I first met probably like 15 years ago. It's been a minute. We were trying to actually figure this out at one point. But I was a store manager for Borders in Tower City in Cleveland, and got called up to go sell books at one of her events. And that's how I met her at the Copper Top Golf Club for that event. And we've been working together ever since. But it's been a minute. So yay for Borders. Let's see. So portals can be opened by, like Mariana said before, lots of like evictions. So you're being evicted out of your house, you don't want to leave, you feel it's unjust, and you know that energy you're throwing out there, especially if you start damaging the property, it's a lot of energy being thrown out that can open it. Married couples going through divorces and the fighting, the yelling, the screaming, especially when it's constant, can do that. Let's see. So there's quite a, but it's got to be huge traumatic, like the throwing out of that energy is what kind of blows those open. Um, let's see. Let's see. That's Swifty. I am sorry to hear that. But it's kind of good in a way that that didn't blow open a portal, because it means your cousin is keeping very well centered and keeping herself in check to where she'll be able to, in a more healthy way, kind of navigate that process going on. And, you know, she's lucky to have you standing there and helping her. I am trained in Reiki, the shamanism, integrated energy therapy, a few other magical practices, as well as the energetic. Um, let's see. Do I channel? When I do healing work, sometimes that happens. I don't do readings personally. I do healing work. I have a store full of readers, and honestly, after dealing with everybody that comes in all day, every day, if I was constantly open, I'd go rent in a back room and like sit and hide in a corner. But I do a lot more healing work than I do reading and channeling, but a lot of that will come through sometimes for the client. Um, da, da, da. I don't know if Marianne's going to be able to come back. She's been gone. And it's not Mercury retrograde. Aha. Let's see. So Mariana said, like, when the portals open, they do kind of connect because they can come and go and they can pop out. So I'm assuming, in my mind, I think, what TV show was it where they had the little controller and it was Ziggy? Quantum Leap. So in my mind, that's what I picture, how they're all connected, and they're just kind of coming and going, but they can't ever permanently leave the portal, according to Marianne. I'm not quite sure how that works. So, did Marianne touch the computer? She probably did. Who knows? What store do I have that has the classes? So, Goddess Elite in North Olmsted, which is right outside Cleveland. It's like 2 exits away on the highway. But due to COVID, we kind of adapt these classes to where they can be done virtually online, where there's a private group that's made. The classes are held online through Zoom. There's a Facebook group, so you can constantly ask questions, get a hold of my teacher and myself and Hank, because we're kind of like right underneath him. So we kind of keep an eye on that. If you don't hear from Zane from, within a certain time, one of us will answer and help prod him to make sure he's seeing it, because he has students from all over the place. But then again, we do have in-person get-togethers for initiations and hearts and carpies, because that's really just something that needs to be done in person to feel those initiations. But if you keep an eye on the website, the next round will be up there. We're actually kind of getting ready to wrap one up. So just keep an eye there. But well, I guess if Marianne's not coming back, I guess it'll just time to go get more coffee and say bye. But please join us on the podcast too. And we're going to keep doing these every morning, or every Wednesday morning at 10 a.m. The podcast will be the first and third Wednesdays. I have those set to go live at like 3 in the morning, so they should be ready to go for you when you get up for your drive to work or morning chores. But feel free to email us at whenghostspeakpod@gmail.com for topic ideas, or if you'd like to share your stories. We were kind of contemplating maybe reading some of our listeners' experiences, and we could kind of, go into depth or comment on those if it's not something we can do on here. Because the amount of text that can come through on a comment, I can't see all of it. It cuts it off. And that's why we don't kind of address them, because I can't see all of it to make sure your question's answered properly. So, well, thank you guys for joining, and hopefully I know we'll have Marianne back next week, but I'll have to get in touch with her and kind of see maybe what happened and if we can make sure it doesn't happen again, since it wasn't Mercury retrograde, so we can't blame that. But well, thank you guys, and hopefully we'll see you next week at 10 a.m. Same channels. Marianne's on YouTube. If you're not there, it's just Marianne Wachowski, and the store's channel is Goddess Elite New Age, and we do reviews over on our channel for books, decks, and other topics. So, but thank you guys. Thanks for joining us, and we'll see you next week.